In 1700, Denmark, Norway, Saxony, Poland, Lithuania, and Russia all teamed up to try and oust the then 18-year-old king of Sweden, Charles XII. But the young king stood his ground, defeating them all, including a Russian army 3 times larger. Russia asked for peace, Charles rejected and started marching his army to Moscow. But eventually the Swedish army took heavy losses at Poltava, and Charles was injured. A second defeat soon after sealed the deal, and Charles would be exiled to the Ottoman Empire. Why do I tell you all of this? Because when Charles returned to Sweden years later, he brought back meatballs, and the rest is culinary history. Charles would lead another assault on Norway, hoping to defeat them, and then again concentrate all of his forces on Russia, but this time it wasn't in the cards, and he would die at the Siege of Fredrikstad in 1718 at just 36 years old. As for his reluctance to agree to peace terms, Charles once said, "I have never resolved to start an unjust war, but never to end a legitimate one except by defeating my enemies." Today, let's do Swedish meatballs. First up, you can use a half a cup or so of plain breadcrumbs. I've got a day or two old bread here. I'm going to take a couple slices, cube it up, a half a cup of heavy whipping cream over top, mix it well, let it soak. 3 cucumbers, peeled and sliced very thin. The same with 1 white onion. Please use the guard. Separate your onions, mix this well. Healthy handful of fresh chopped dill, salt and pepper, teaspoon of white sugar, half a cup of white vinegar. Mix well, lid, refrigerate. Let's make meatballs. Grate 1 white onion. In a large mixing bowl, 1 pound of 90-10 ground beef, 1 pound of ground pork, our soaked bread and cream, another 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream, 2 whole eggs, 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, our onion, salt and pepper, and finally, a half a teaspoon or so of nutmeg. Let's get our hands dirty. And we're looking for about 1 to 1.5 inch meatballs, probably somewhere around 1 ounce, about here. Ended up with 32 exactly. That's 1 ounce of meat per, plus the filling. Egg noodles are popular here. We're going to go with mashed potatoes. You know how to make those. We'll see this in the end. And over here, a large skillet with a tablespoon of bacon grease or lard or oil of your choice. Get it heating up. And to this, we add 1 white onion diced. And we start adding our meatballs. I'm guessing this is probably going to be 2 batches. We're going to cook them all the way through. As they start browning, we'll start flipping. And we're going to lose a couple pieces down here into our gravy. I can only hope so. Internal temp setting at 150 to 160. Pull them. Second batch is done, and we've got all this deliciousness to deal with. 2 tablespoons of butter. Butter's melted, and we go in with a half to 2/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour. It's going to get mealy. It's going to get dry. Perfect. Cook that raw flour out for about 30 seconds. Then 3 cups of chicken broth, deglaze. 2/3 of a cup of heavy whipping cream. A couple shots of Worcestershire, about a teaspoon. Teaspoon of Dijon. Salt and pepper. Nutmeg. Meatballs back in. Get them all snuggled down in here, then some fresh parsley, low simmer, give it 5 minutes for that gravy and meatballs to get acquainted. A classic accompaniment for Swedish meatballs is lingonberries. I couldn't find any fresh, they're not easy to find, but you can find lingonberry jam in the international section of most grocers, a delicacy from Sweden. All of that, and we didn't even need an Allen wrench. Swedish meatballs. Oh yeah.